doing some epic Hey everybody, welcome to the Smokin' Studios for another live episode of the Rocky Mountain Cigar Show. So excited to have everybody back in and join us for yet another live Thursday night. I say this every Thursday. I feel privileged enough to even be able to have enough people that want to watch this show and follow it and enjoy the conversations that we have. Tonight we have two mics tonight. I'm not sure how we're gonna ask them who wants to be who. Something tells me they probably have some nickname for each other that they go by that's semi-insulting that they're willing to throw out there. So that's kind of what we'll do tonight. It's gonna be a fun show. As normal, we're just shooting the shit, get a little bit in the product, but for just a few little show updates here. I finally have the cigars coming to me from La Aurora. They should be here tomorrow. I will be getting all the birthday winners stuff out there before the weekend is my hope. So you guys will have that in the mail hopefully by next week. So now I'm really excited to have the crew of mics on tonight. I've been a big fan of their cigars for the last several years now, and we all watch Cigar Hustler. At least I know I do. I'm sure a lot of others do as well. I know they're really popular. Everyone loves their little cutscenes that they put out because it's always fucking hilarious, the banter back and forth with each other, and you never quite fully know if they like each other, love each other, or just love to fight each other. So let's go ahead and bring in the mics and let's find out. How y'all doing today?
Hey, Ryan. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thank you guys very much for coming on. It's been a long time coming for me to want to ask you guys to come on, and I really appreciate it. So before we kind of get launched off here, just kind of go ahead and introduce yourselves. Not that anybody doesn't know you that's going to be watching this show, but Mike Szczepankiewicz. Oh, no, Szczepankiewicz. I've been trying that name the whole time pre-show. Mike Palmer said I did it good. Live, I fucked it up. All right. I guess my tongue got a little lighter with a few drinks and it just didn't roll it just right. So, Mike, please go ahead and introduce yourself and I'll let you figure out which one is which.
Okay, you go first. You down. Oh, wait, you're over here.
You're down.
No,
I'm
yeah,
Mike
look at-
Szczepankiewicz, the brand owner of Powstanie Cigars. Me and my brother Greg started this about 15 years ago. Just two young Polish men with a dream. That's all we were.
That's it. Tell them who you are, damn it.
I'm Mike
Tell
Palmer,
them.
National Sales Manager for Powstanie Cigars.
Mm-hmm. Co-host of a Cigar Hustlers
Co-host of a Cigar Hustler podcast.
Leader of men.
Well, you just do my intro like you do when I walk in the building.
Are we allowed to say better of women or no? Are you married?
Yes.
Well, 3 times. I'm not good at that at all.
Well, you're good at the betting part.
He's also a great power bottom, and he's the occasional cuck. If you need him in a pinch, he'll take good pictures for you.
God, I knew I was going to like this. I feel like I've got 2 Matt Booths on at one time. This is great.
We are not that dirty.
We keep our poop jokes to a minimum.
I think that's the first time anyone's ever said cuck on this show in 4 years.
And here we are.
We have arrived. Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Mike, you introduced. So, all right, we've got to figure out a way that I could say Mike.
Call him Palmer.
Okay, we'll just do that. Mike and Palmer.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
There you go.
So Mike, please go ahead. Give us a little breakdown on your introduction.
Hi, I'm Mike Szczepankiewicz, owner of partner in Cigar Hustler, the retail store, and on website, partner in Cigar Hustlers podcast with the one and only legend, Mr. Palmer. I also own Powstanie Cigars and a wholesale operation called Poshik Distribution. We handle distribution for various cigars, such as Fable, Ceniza Fina, Fosforo, occasionally FQ whenever he pops up. And who am I forgetting? Am I forgetting anybody?
No, you forgot Lifter of Heavy Things.
Lifter of heavy, and I lift heavy things.
Male porn model.
What? That's not true. That's a lie.
Suntan lotion applier.
That is a little kind of passable, though, Mike. I mean,
You know,
hey, they
whatever.
get paid more than women, from what I understand.
Yeah, how much do you
The-
get paid, Michael? Is it a lucrative business?
It's an undisclosed amount currently.
That's probably safer. Who knows? The IRS could be watching this show.
Yeah, it's all under the table.
A lot of expenses with the oil and the stuff that you need.
No,
Well-
I got it all on tax, like at an auction, like a government tax auction from there was a
Oh,
Diddy.
the P. Diddy
I was
thing.
gonna say, did you pick it up from the bidding?
Yeah,
I got a
right.
low pay like $20.
The P. Diddy auction. Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
it for pennies
Right.
an ounce.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, do you have an in-ground pool or above-ground pool that you put it all in?
Oh, it's I just keep it in a separate room. I need it climate controlled at all times, so it's all and it's got
Nice-
shelves and
nice
then
and warm.
in case.
Yeah. Heated. It's got to be heated. Otherwise, it gets too thick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
so the
melted.
show
goes
started with a
everywhere. Ugh.
crazy turd. All right, so we got introductions out of the way. Now I want to kind of dive into the only segment that we do with the show, and I always forget to do it in the beginning, but I'm not going to today because I got a
Said
lot
that
we
this
want to
was
talk
totally
about.
no segment. You heard that, right, Paul? We
I
started
heard him
with
say that. We
No,
started with no
well,
segment.
Yeah, well,
And
there's nothing planned, but I do the "What Are You Smoking Tonight" segment, brought to you by the good friends over at Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, Steve Saka. So, Mike, what are you smoking tonight?
I am smoking the SBC 24, which will be coming out later this month. I have to figure out when we're releasing it, but it's going to happen this month at some point. So yeah, it's a Ecuadorian. It's not Ecuadorian. That's a lie. It's a Mexican Habano, with a Ecuadorian Connecticut barber pole. So it's a blend that we've never done before. It's very unique. It's got like this kind of twang to it and the sweetness to it that doesn't taste like
Ding,
anything.
ding, 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 ding.
And what are you smoking, Mike?
Well, it's raining here at my house, so I am not smoking. But I am holding our
Okay.
new. Stop yelling at me!
Light it up in the house.
No, I'll have to leave.
He'll pay for your
I'm-
cleaning bill.
No, he won't. We don't have that kind of money in this. Not in our world. We don't. Please. I've got our new San Andreas here in my hand. I'll just hold on to it and shake it at the screen every once in a while.
Yeah, I bought those in Robusto from you guys for the show. That's one of I love that. I love San Andreas as a rapper to begin with. Now, I kind of am showing off to Palmer a little bit. Palmer's a little salty that Mike was kind enough to send these over. But Mike, I will let you explain what I am smoking tonight.
Yes, that is the new War Bear that's unbanded. The blend for the War Bear is the same as every 2 years that it comes out. It's Ecuadorian Habano with a San Andreas barber pole, and this year it's in a Gran Perfecto format.
Smoking really good draw. I'm always so concerned with shape tips. We can go a lot of places with that, but I'm referring specifically to the
it's an
cigar.
ongoing issue.
Maybe your underwear's too tight. Maybe the boxers, switching to boxers, maybe.
I'm always nervous when I go to the store to buy one because you always get it where it's sometimes just super tight up here in the top, right in the tip, and you don't cut deep enough or whatever. This one's smoking really good so far, but I've really never had a construction problem over the last several years of smoking your guys' cigars, which has always been great. I learned who you guys were from Omerta, and that's actually how I originally learned of Postania. I said that right, didn't I? I did, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. So thank you very much, Steve Saka, for sponsoring the "What Are You Smoking Tonight" segment. Now back to the show. Back to our regularly scheduled. Yeah.
Thank you.
Our regular scheduled program.
There you go. Yeah, I can't speak.
I'm an excellent sidekick.
So I gotta ask, how did this dynamic happen? I know, Palmer, you're not originally from the cigar industry. Am I correct in that?
Correct.
You got brought in from Mike. So how does that even happen? Because my guess is you were super successful somewhere else, and Mike said, "Hey, let me give you a headache and come work for me."
The super successful is probably not correct, but the other part is exactly. There was many years of free labor, and now we're at the slightly paid labor. So we're working our way
Highly
up here.
paid, baby. That's right. And if you keep on going, you'll make manager, and that's where the big
Ooh,
start rolling.
oh, the double
Mom,
digits by the hour, right?
then the prize, then manager.
So we have a quick question here for Bruce. When is Cigar Hustlers on live?
We never
Or
been
no,
on.
when you guys post it?
We
Oh.
release normally on Tuesdays.
Okay. Tuesdays on
Uh,
YouTube, and you can find them on Facebook too. If you go to either one of these brilliant gentlemen's Facebook pages, you can find it. You can go to Cigar Hustler website, and you could find it as well as chpod.com. See, I am very versed in where you guys
Oh.
are because I'm a fan. I'm genuinely a fan of the show. So Mike Palmer, how
Yes.
did you how did that even friendship even start? Like, I know it was started by Mike and his brother, and then what? Did she just like, I'm terrible at sales, I can't do it, I need to bring in somebody like you to build the company while I sit back on the beach? Like, what's that dynamic like?
He is a fan. He knows exactly how it happened. Exactly.
yeah, verbatim.
Yeah, right. I mean, so we could just end the show here. Let's do the smoking plug, and then we'll just move on.
So how does that? How do you guys come across that?
Many years ago, I started hanging out at his shop. Well, my wife and I had moved closer to that shop than the other place I used to go to. So one day became two eventually became five. At the time, I was working sourcing things in China, so most of my work was in the morning or late in the afternoon. So my days in the middle were pretty much free. So after hanging out there long enough, then I would be out front waiting on them to show up to unlock, to let me in so I could sit down. So then I got a key and an alarm code. And then one year they decided to start making their own cigars, and they both needed to go to Nicaragua, and they were trying to figure out who was going to run the shop. I think at the time they had one or two night employees at the time. I think that's correct. And Mike and Greg ran the shop during the day. So in a previous life, I ran a Kmart store, so I know retail. So they were sitting there trying to decide, and I raised my hand and I go, I have a key, I have an alarm code. If you show me how to use that register thing, the thing you guys call a register over there, I can pretty much run the shop for you during the day. I'm here anyway. So that began the unpaid employment segment of our story.
Yes.
Right.
Take me back to those days.
Right.
So how long ago was this?
Last week.
That was last week. That was yesterday. So I think it goes back. I think 9 or 10 years. It starts to all become a blur after some point, because really during the day you got to figure me, Mike, and Greg, we're 8 to 9 hours a day, 4 to 5 days a week all together. So it all becomes a blur, after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the show. I mean, you guys see each other more than you do your families, almost, probably.
Yeah, some weeks. My wife does remind me of that. So that only worked for about 2 weeks, and then it was just if I was there, I knew how to run register. If it was busy, I would just jump on the register. I would just help customers, that type of stuff. And then one summer, me and a gentleman by the name of Chet Atwell, we both worked there. I think we were both working 1 day a week, and everybody either quit or got fired at the same time, like 3 or 4 employees. So I don't remember if everybody quit or got. Well, I think one got fired, 2 quit. Something happened where
Mike's over there firing people.
Oh yeah. That's like a hobby. He enjoys.
Yeah,
he enjoys that. I get fired once or twice a week. It's just something that happens. So I was opening and Chet was closing. I mean, we were the only 2 employees for summer, and Chet's about my age. So after about 30, 45 days, we're like, you guys got to hire people. We can't keep this up anymore. Because you were paying us then. That was paid.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a little bit, but it was it was money at least.
Yeah.
So effectively, he trusts you to run one business, and then he said, "Hey, I'm going to throw another one at you. You up for the ride?"
Right. Well, a year and a half ago, I started doing social media for the entire Cigar Hustler empire, which involves the brand, the shop. We were already doing the podcast, the wholesale, so everything. So I got to know the wholesale. Oh, and there was one brief time in an attempt to for me to be getting paid. I packaged wholesale orders.
Except for me to keep.
Yeah, so he could justify paying me something, and we both decided that was a terrible idea. So
Why was that a terrible idea?
I didn't enjoy it, and I probably messed something up more than one time. Wrong box to the wrong place, or something like that. So
Yeah. I mean, where do I chime in at this point? There's so many things I can cover. First of all, I think yeah, you do have to fire people. That's not the funnest part of the job. However,
I've been told hire slow, fire fast.
yeah, I looking back, I could say that. I would say that wasn't always our motto. You're like, yeah, but this guy.
that wasn't the important part of the story. I was not implying that you're a
But
fanatic.
I want to cover everything, Palmer.
You're a fanatic that runs around going, "You're
Trump.
fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired."
But I always believe in taking care of the people around you, and it's really important that they believe that you're trying to do that.
Sure.
Sometimes they don't believe that. Sometimes they think that you're just trying to take advantage of them or whatever. Or you can. There are some people that. I mean, I've done a lot of great things for people, honestly, and I can tell you that some of those people that I've done a lot of great things for, they still look at me like this guy's a complete piece of dirt, and he's just trying to screw me over. It's like, wow, how does that?
I don't. You did the great things, or was it kind of unsaid and they wouldn't have known?
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely known.
Okay, so it was upfront. Okay, well then that's whether kind of a jerk.
Yeah, whether it was adjustments for pay, whether it was giving them extra hours, whether it was just giving them money if they needed it, whatever, you would still get looked at like, this guy's a scumbag. And you're never gonna change that person's perspective, unfortunately. Meanwhile, you try and weed those guys out, and normally the people that will bend over backwards for you, you don't ever have to go out of your way that would hurt you for them to succeed, right? Like the staff that we have now is pretty damn good, man. I'm very grateful for them, very fortunate for them, and they all have their own kind of specialties. So as an employee, or as an employer, you look to really kind of cultivate on what they do well, and make that their development, their strong suit. So that's something that we've gotten a lot better at. Everybody has their quirks. I speak positively about everybody that works there. And if I'm going to break someone's balls, it's not going to be behind their back. It's going to be in person, because it's usually just jovial and kind of out of fun. So it's important to always have their backs and look out for them 100%, and just weed out the bad ones.
So the cigar store was first. The cigar shop was first.
Yeah.
And then Powstania came second. And then the show Cigar Hustlers.
Yeah. So Palmer was really good on social media prior to all this. He had Florida Cigar Club, and he's done a great job regulating it and controlling it and cultivating it where people can go to specific events. And, he already had that kind of ability on social media. So even though that's kind of been his newest thing in the past year and a half, when we became friends, at some point I said, hey, let's build a podcast. Let's do this. This will be fun. This will be awesome. And he was dumb enough to say yes. He's like, okay, yeah, I'll do that with you. So if you go back on Spotify or Apple or whatever, that's on all of those platforms, and you go back to listen to episode 1, it's atrocious, man.
It's terrible.
You watch episode 1 for me 4 years ago. It's atrocious.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But
I get it.
You got to keep going, right? You got to keep working for it, and it's this crazy labor of love that we just. I mean, I'm the psychopath that always looks at things and say, Okay, well, we need to add this. We need to do this. Let's do this. And I drive Palmer insane with all of his. Like, you just took that away. You just said don't do that. I'm like, okay, yeah, but then I saw it, and then I think we need it back, or whatever the case may be. So, it came along. 7 years ago, right? Palmer?
7 years. Yeah, 7.
Yeah, and he loves it. He's a huge fan of it.
It's
he
so
does,
much fun.
he does no work. He just comes in and he talks.
I just come in and sit down,
He just
straighten my
and
jacket, and say a
yeah,
couple of stupid things, and then I just get up and leave. That's all there is to it.
he walks out, and somebody else has to break down all the
Hey,
equipment.
somebody else takes everything apart and puts it in that tiny little cabinet, and then they edit the show and hand Mikey either a pre-edited or a post-edited copy so he can make his little clippies that he does.
The clippies are the biggest
Clippy thing.
on the planet.
Well, those are killing everywhere right now. Those clips. I mean, and it's just that clip format. I mean, it really is like such an attention getter to get people. And you guys, the things that you guys choose to clip are always like hilarious. Vast majority, other than the fact that you ripped on Boulder, which rightfully so, for lighting people on fire. They shouldn't
Yeah,
be
you
doing
can't do
that.
that.
That hurts.
Yeah, the guy did that. If that guy did that in Florida, he wouldn't have been apprehended.
No, only in
No,
Boulder would he have been at. And by the way, only in Boulder would he have been apprehended. If he had been in Colorado Springs, he'd have been put down too.
That's insanity, man. I can't believe that happened. It's crazy. The world we live in is insane.
No, it
People
is.
Our minds.
It's absolutely nuts.
But yeah, we ripped on that. We ripped on Boulder. I apologize for my. We rip on everybody though. There's no one is safe.
But that's kind of the fun of. But that's kind of the fun of watching you guys though, and this is what I've had a lot of fun watching the show is everybody's fair game, and you guys are the worst to each other, and that's what's even hilarious. Like sometimes that's some of the best content is the way you guys banter back and forth, or one mic will say a clip to the other, and kind of like what's been going on here tonight. It's a lot of fun. That's very entertaining. How did you guys like? Was that kind of talked about to have a and a B style personality, or is that just kind of how it just flowed together? Because something tells me that's Palmer's personality is that witty, sarcastic, really quick on the comeback type of personality for him. Is that really you, or is that just for the show?
You hit it right on the nail on the head. Exactly. That's just the way we are. There's funnier stuff not on camera.
Oh, yo, that's what I mean.
I mean, if we could do a reality show inside the shop, it would be. I mean, it would have ratings through the roof.
Yeah, I think that's what makes our show so special is our authenticity. What's really kind of remarkable too is Palmer that's on the show is the real Palmer, but there's an entirely different Palmer who's extremely quiet and extremely reserved. When he's out of his element, he doesn't like to speak at all. And when I see that, I always lean into him. Like, what's up, bro?
Okay. So let's go down this rabbit hole for a bit. What does out of your element mean? Define that.
Just like, do you want to go ahead, Palmer? You do it.
No, you go ahead. No, you're doing so well describing me. Please, please go ahead. Keep going.
Explain out of your element, sir. Go ahead.
It's usually if there's somebody in the room that I don't know or I'm not familiar with. I'm more of a sit back and observe than try to be up front. I don't really like to have the limelight when it's not in something that I control completely, if that makes any sense.
Okay, so you're not a huge public speaker unless you know the event.
Correct. Now, yeah, I mean, I can do a cigar event and talk to people that way, but if I had to sit in front of stand in front of a crowd of people that I was not familiar with and just give a speech, it would scare me to death. I'd have an anxiety attack and probably not be able to go on.
See, I'm opposite. I actually 25 years of sales. I have trained myself that when I get nervous, I actually talk. And I did that. It took me a long time to figure out how to do that. I did that because in the very beginning, going face to face with clients, I would clam up. and I realized all you got to do is just talk. It doesn't just stop talking about the product and just start shooting the shit about their kids or a hobby or something. Just learned that. So that's how I overcame that. But I was very much that way.
Yeah, I'm much better with sales on the phone than in person, just because of that. I mean, I'll sit there and then after a few minutes, it just gets awkward. Nobody's talking, and I'm trying to get past that. Mikey's giving me a lot of tips. I read my little book and
I read my little book. Now,
my
do you
little book
expense
before I
those
go in.
books? Does Mike buy those books for you?
Oh no, Mikey buys all sorts of books for different reasons. You can go to his house. He has a self-help library at his house, and you can pull anything from hot boxing, cold plunging, sales warrior playbook, how to do a podcast. I mean, all sorts of different things. Eat cereal, don't eat cereal, take this pill, don't take that pill,
Does it have a little card on the flap that you pull out and stamp with the date so he knows?
That's what his wife's in charge of that.
Okay.
She's like the librarian. He keeps track of all the books for him. Make sure if you borrow it, it comes back. I am quite overdue on this one, though, but I think I've got an extension. I'm not quite sure.
Now, is there a penalty that comes off his paycheck when it's not returned in time?
Generally speaking, when I usually if I hand somebody off a book, I got to be honest, I don't think I've ever gotten a book back. I don't ever really look for that either. So it'd be nice for somebody to say, "Hey, I finished reading it," but
I gave the cat book, the book about the cat tail thing or whatever that was. I gave that one back. I don't remember the cat. Something about a cat and how to do a video or something.
So it's in the office.
There's
about
this
scripts.
book called Spin Selling. There's a book called Spin Selling that I read, and I read it years ago. And I picked up my manager's book, and it was all, post-it noted and highlighted. And I'm like, oh, I want to read through this. He goes, no, but I got a box of them because I give them out all the time. So that's my copy. You can just go ahead and take that. And he goes, he said pretty much the same thing, Mike. He goes, I learned early on, you give somebody a book, it's never coming back.
Yeah.
So he's like, I keep mine that I do all my notes and stuff in, and I'll buy somebody a different book.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Like a book, it's a good gesture. It's something that you see that somebody that you think could help somebody, and you give it to them. I think what am I going to hold in my head thinking, you never gave me that book back, or I can't. There's no way. I would lose my mind at that point, and it's no longer a good gesture at that. So you hand the book off and. You hope that somebody reads it, or even if they read a fraction of it, they take something from it and they become a better person.
So let me ask you this: is that a book thing, or if you gave somebody a DVD, would you expect to get the DVD back? I know nobody uses DVDs anymore, but
it's like DVD. What is that?
You get the gist of what I'm asking. Is it because it's a book?
Would you expect to get the VHS tape back?
I think that I have low expectations for people. If I'm giving somebody something to watch, if it was in a DVD format or even a CD or something, or cassette, let's go 8-track. I would just anticipate that it's gone. Like I was never expecting it back.
It's already dead. It's done.
It's kind of like a cigar. If I'm giving somebody a cigar, I'm not like, well, for one, I don't even care what you thought of it. Well, what'd you think? I don't even want to know it. I thought it was awesome. I wanted to share it with you, and that's kind of where I left it. I hope you smoked it. I hope it didn't fucking die in your car in a Ziploc bag, and then you just eventually chucked it. So yeah, I think that's probably more where that mentality comes from. That you're never getting the cigars back. So
that was always something where people when I used to smoke cigarettes a long time ago, people go, "Can I bum a smoke?" I look at me like, "Am I getting the exact same one back?" You're not. Right. You're not borrowing it. Can I have one? And it's kind of that same mentality. It's like, hey, can I borrow a cigar? No, you can't borrow. Like, I'm not going to get it back. I don't want the band. Like, just here, you can just have it.
I think if someone asked me, I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you do that. You're like, oh, can I have one? At that point, usually alarms are going off in my head, and I'm like, fuck this guy. I'm not giving him anything. If you gotta have the art. You have to have a strong weasel game, and if you really want the cigar that I have, you'll be like, oh, like, what's that? Oh, that's interesting. I've never had
Oh,
any.
yeah, I've
That.
heard of that, but I've never tried one.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll be able to come
Is it
across
as
one,
good as they say it is?
something like that.
Yeah,
So,
I was at the beach this weekend, and the guys found out I sold cigars. They're like, "Oh, we'd like to have a cigar," and I go, "Well, I've got one. If you guys want to split it, I'll give it to the two of you. But other than that, I'm sorry." So neither one of them wanted it. So.
You need to get one of those reversible cigars to carry around with anybody. You could just cut it in half.
Oh yeah, those are big. Those are big now. You can light both ends.
yeah,
Yeah, the wiener, the double-headed wiener cigar that everybody's going crazy for.
a double wiener, the punch.
The
So,
punch wiener.
what has been kind of the most fun in this journey in the cigar world? I want to ask here in a little bit about how the shop started and why you guys even did it. And kind of was it supposed to be how you, but before that, what has been kind of the most fun in this journey? Has it been the shop? Has it been the cigars? Has it been the podcast? Or kind of without the lounge, none of it would be here?
Well, that's kind of
Palmer?
deep. That's kind of deep, isn't it?
I can.
He's kind of right. If the lounge wasn't there, if you didn't start the lounge, none of the rest of it would have happened.
That's what I mean. So is that kind of the best part of all of this?
I mean, I wouldn't have even have met you.
I think that on every facet of everything that you just kind of mentioned, there's one constant that is the best above all, and that's some of the people that we have found along the way, like Palmer being one of them, obviously, just friends and people in general. And I could argue from what facet I have become friends with them, whether it was from wholesale or from the local guys at the shop or from online, or from the podcast. Like we just had we had a guy come in who's been a customer of ours for years, and he became a customer of ours because I went and I did an event, I don't know, 8 years ago. And we just developed a friendship. Once eventually his retailer stopped supporting. Like, what's weird in this industry is there are stores that will surge and do extremely well for a long period of time, and then is they can hire new management, especially if they're on a bigger level, and they could restructure, and they could just totally decay when it comes to boutique blends and stuff. And I always do my best to kind of facilitate how I can help them. If there's another local person nearby or whatever, or if they want me to help them, I'll help them. I'm always consider myself as a last resort. But what's so cool about that is, man, I've gained some lifelong friendships in every facet of this, and it's because of each thing individually. So I can't say it's because of retail. I can't say it's because of wholesale. I mean, it's just generally from what we kind of do. And like, when you start kind of piecing it together and you start thinking like, Palmer wouldn't be in my life if it wasn't for a local store, right? And he popped in one day and I recognized him from Facebook. I was like, "Hey, what's up, Mike? How are you, man?" And we just started talking. We became friends. So like, that's remarkable. That's something that I couldn't, you don't make me choose as far as which facet is more awesome, because they're all awesome simply because of some of the people that I have become friends with along the way. And there's just, it's really cool, especially when you talk with people that aren't in the industry, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I know so and so, or like, how do you know that guy? I'm like, oh, cigars. Like, what? Like, yeah, no, he's a good dude. I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, it's the only industry you can walk through every facet of life, man. It's remarkable.
See, I'm really glad you gave that answer, because I literally feel the same way. It's not the activities that I do that make this fun. It's the people along the way that I do the activities with. And for me, I started this show never expecting it to last longer than 3 months, because I was going to get bored with it, and my mom was going to watch it and be done with it, and I was just never going to do it. And then it kind of just took off, and I've met like amazing people. I've been able to have a lot of great guests on. And it's one of those that I don't know what I'm more grateful for, the show or the friends that came from it.
Right. I totally agree, man. Mitch Smith popped in here before, and I saw yo. Like I met Mitch at the Weasel Team, the Romacraft main event. Like shit, 8 years ago, seven or 8 years ago, and we were just talking there. We're bullshitting about all kinds of things, and we've been friends ever since. I'm watching this kid grow up. And now he's playing baseball, and like those things are how awesome is all that? And he's on the other side of the United States, so that's incredible to me. So like that's what I love the most about this whole thing, for sure.
What about you, Palmer?
It's pretty much the same. It's the
Good luck following that, Palmer.
Well, I talk to Mitch at least twice a week. So even though I haven't met him in person, though, I am the godfather of his child, and I send him Legos once a month for his son to build. All those pictures he puts up, for those are the Legos I send him.
You're so thoughtful.
Yeah, man. It is. He's right. It's the people. There'll be things that happen, or people that'll even call, and it's still it boggles my mind. I'm like, you know who called me today, Michael? You know who I talked to on the phone? And then I tell him, he's like, well, it's not a big deal to him anymore, but it's still, like David Lafferty called me on the phone today. I don't know what to do now. Something like that. It's still just amazing. And then I tell this.
Lafferty still isn't.
No, that was just the name that came to mind for some reason. I don't know. I don't know why. Yeah. I tell this story about Michael all the time. It's a good story that goes to his character. I heard this thing on the radio one time. They said, ask 5 people around you to lie to the police for you, basically. So I told my mother, I go, look, you're going to get a call from the police. Say I was with you. And she's like, no, what did you do? I had the same thing with my wife, my 2 boys. And then I called Mikey, and I think I texted you. And I said, the police are going to call you. I need you to say I was with you yesterday. He goes, okay. No questions. That was just it. And then, a day later when I saw him in person, I explained to him what happened. He goes, oh, I've been waiting on the police to call for 2 days.
Yeah.
It is. His brother's the same way. They're 2 very loyal, very unique guys that I'm fortunate enough to be friends with. I mean, they're my 2 best friends. There's not anything they wouldn't do for me or my family, and I'm the same with them. And it's all because they decided that tattoos was a bad idea. Let's open a cigar shop.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was the original thought process with you and your brother was, do you have a lot of tattoos, or were you like going to get like a teardrop, or
See, that's called a segue.
tattoo?
That's a segue in the industry, guys. See, I just brought the story back to the history now of where it came from.
See, that's why Palmer is a giant in this industry.
Yeah. Like this. Yeah.
No, to answer your question, neither one of them have tattoos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, here's the reality. The reality is that I'm not passionate about anything except my wife and my kids and my friends. That's it. I'm not passionate about cigars. I'm not, when we originally went to go open the store, my brother wanted to do a tattoo parlor and a head shop because he figured that there was good margin in all those things. I'm like, okay. And then people came in asking for cigars because it was a cigar store years prior. And then we were like, okay, so, I better start learning about cigars. And that was kind of the route that we went. And
so
look at us now.
It wasn't my dad. I remember the first cigar I had with my dad, my uncle, cracking a beer when I was 16. That started my love and my journey. And I taste chocolate mousse out of every one of these cigars, and virgin whale blubber and all these other great notes. It was just kind of like I want to start a company, and this is where we're going to go.
I just want to be successful. I just want to win.
Okay.
Just that simple. And I don't even want to keep score. Somebody else better keep score. Just let me know that I'm doing okay and that we're winning, and I kind of gauge that by making sure, by looking around all the people in my life and making sure that they're happy. If they're good, I'm good. And that's honestly how I live. I don't need a weekend with the boys. I don't, I don't need any of that. I need to get to work and I need to crush at everything that I do. And that's just really how I look at things. And it's probably, I don't know if we have that kind of time. We'd have to break all that down, but I'm sure it's some kind of crazy childhood trauma that I have. But whatever, it's
Definitely involves your mother. Has to involve your mother somehow.
Yeah, it involves both parents without question. I just want to make sure everybody else around me is good. I don't care what it is I have to do. If somebody said, "Hey, look, club baby seals," and you'll be set for life, and your friends will be set for life. I'm like, give me the club. I don't like.
You just call me and go, Palmer. Find out how we club seals and where they're at.
How if we Amazon the club today? Can I get it by 4 tomorrow morning?
Yeah, hold on, Mike. If we buy 2 of them, we get a discount.
If I could wield both with one in each hand, could I expedite everybody else's happiness around me? I will do that, no problem. That's just how I am, I guess. Whatever. Sorry, love it or hate it.
I love the honesty of it because, like, at some point in time, I do think that, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people. I do think that some of the cigar industry is fluff. I'll say some to be polite.
Some?
I'll say some to be polite.
Very nice.
But I love hearing the reality of, I thought you were lighting a joint.
He's a little stressed out now. He's got a little worked up.
I was like, no wonder why you would.
Don't judge, Ryan. Don't judge.
Head shop.
Yeah. I don't smoke weed and I hardly drink. The only reason why I smoke cigars is because I'm in the cigar industry.
But see, I love the honesty of, no, I didn't grow up in a cigar family necessarily. I didn't grow up with stealing cigars out of this. I didn't grow up with, my 7th generation uncle rolled tobacco. It was started out of, you wanted to be successful. You picked an industry that you felt you could be based on an environment you were in. I love that. As somebody that's done business consulting for a while, that's definitely not the normal way a business is started, but fuck it. If it's successful, then rewrite the book.
See a need, fill a need, man. I don't understand how it's not that complicated. Unfortunately, it's you wake up 15 years later and you realize, damn, this is a cigar industry. I would have crushed it at something else and been far more rich at this point. But whatever. Here we are.
Have you ever, being that you literally just said, I'm not like super passionate about, you're obviously passionate about your company though. You're passionate about the product that you make. So how does that help you differentiate yourself from other companies when you have people that stack you against another company? Are you like, yeah, I don't care. You like what you like. Like, how do you take criticism?
I take criticism all day, every day, and
mostly from me.
No, I'm saying, like, when somebody criticizes your cigar to you, because every brand owner's had that, like, somebody just hating on them. Does that hit you to the core in the same way as if you were like super? Did you hear some of these rollers like, these cigars are my babies, like I love them? And
no. I would tell you this. Here's what's funny is I think that passion's really the wrong word, because am I passionate about the cigars that we make? I would say no. However, I do believe that if my name is on something, there needs to be a specific standard that's on that name, right? Postania, if you back up to 2020, there was a little uncertainty with Nica Sueño. They didn't know the direction that they were going. That's the factory. It's an aroma craft factory that we work with for Postania. And I wanted to keep going. So, at that point, we're already pretty well established. We have a lot of good friends in the industry.
You wanted to keep going, as in keep the brand alive, regardless of what happened.
Yeah, well, not necessarily keep the brand alive, but continue to grow in the industry.
Okay,
right?
Okay.
So what do I do? We start making these limited runs, and they said, all right, well, you want to put the P on it? I'm like, no, I'm not putting the P on it. Well, why not? Because Postania is made in Nica Sueño. If I were to take that logo and then make it somewhere else, then I'm not being honest with my consumer, right? there you see a lot of bait and switch in this industry, and I'm like, and I'm not going to do that. I think that if I'm going to make something, it's going to be excellent. There's no need for it to say it is this when it's clearly not. So I just believe in holding a standard in everything that I do, and holding people around me to that standard. Sometimes that's where things can get kind of hairy. Sorry, my dog is on full watch here.
It's kind of neat though. As you said, it gets hairy, then the dog barks.
Yeah, right. Hair of the dog.
Like you had that all set up to go.
His wife's behind it, kicks the dog real quick.
Right. Right as he brought this, go now.
So yeah, I mean, that's really how I kind of look at things, and like that's really even how the podcast kind of continues to elevate. It wasn't this PCA, but it was the last PCA. Palmer and I, I was having a conversation with him, like, man, I know nothing about these short clips and all this other stuff, but I think that we really need to do this every day. And he's like, how are we gonna do that? I'm like, I don't know, but we're gonna have to figure it out, and we'll just start doing it. And you fast forward 18 months later, and everybody talks about them all the time, and that's just because just kept working at it, and you keep trying getting better at it. And even the ones that I release that I work on this week, I'm like, man, I can do better than this. Hey, how do we fix the lighting on this? How do we fix this? What other clips can we add in? All of these other you just constantly try and bring up to a bigger standard. It's not passion. It's just being the best at everything you do. Don't half-ass anything,
So when somebody, effectively what I'm hearing is, because your name is on it, you care about the standard of quality of the product, but specifically because your name is under it and you're kind of representing the brand, you're not necessarily passionate about like your specific cigars as much as you are the quality that it has, the brand. Am I saying this right?
Yeah, to some degree. Like, right. It's not passion. It's just overall standard of anything that I do.
Yeah, you just want it to be a high standard. It doesn't necessarily matter. It could have been a widget.
Yeah, passion is for my friends, for my wife, for my kids,
and for Palmer.
Everything else, there's standards in everything that I do and everything that we do, and I'll constantly push those standards to be better than what they are all the time. But am I passionate about those things? Not really. That's just who I am.
Now you had mentioned about not putting the P on, which I almost interjected because I was actually expecting Palmer to interject when you said that, because it was actually like an open-ended thing. I thought he was going to jump on, but he didn't. But not putting the P on it, is that because you want all of Powstanie's stuff to be out of Romacraft's factory, and you don't agree with making a line here at this factory, and then a line at this factory, and then a line at this factory with Powstanie?
I just think that as it was created out of that factory, right? And there were never plans to the overall map of things were never to, hey, well, we're going to do certain things with these guys and certain things with these guys and certain things with these guys, and that's how we're going to make this whole brand. The vision and what it was and what it is was to always be made out of the Nica Sueño factory. And I would never deviate from that to try and, because I would feel like I'm, for what it is, I'd be tricking the consumer. Now, other people do different things. Other people have different visions, and I'm like, my way is not the be all end all, it's just how I personify things. And what I've seen in the past, I've seen cigars that have been made for, over a decade with Cameroon wrapper, and then one day they're made with Habano wrapper, and no one tells anybody. Nobody said anything. We just carried on, and then
like switching Darren's on Bewitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody says a word.
Yeah, it's like, no, this is fine. Like,
that's not Darren.
This is not fine. And Bewitch was never the same.
Or switching Becky on Roseanne.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Will Smith's aunt on
Vivian.
Fresh Prince, right. They changed Aunt Vivian.
Yeah, you just can't swap it out.
No,
You know?
ridiculous.
But
Just kill her off with
but
something.
would you be against a new line of Postania going to another factory? Not like the San Andres being made at another factory. That I completely agree with you and 100%. But like another line, a new line, or are you
Yeah,
that
would.
loyal to that?
Yeah, I would.
You
I
would be
would,
open to another line being
No.
made somewhere. No, you
No,
wouldn't.
no,
Okay,
no,
okay,
no.
okay, okay.
I am that loyal.
Okay. And that's good.
I
Yeah.
have a question. Let's say, God forbid, something happens and Romacraft has, for some reason, can't make our cigars anymore
Yeah.
for one reason or another. Does the P brand die?
Yes.
And you just so it does. The P just goes away, and we start with a W or something. Just make a whole new line of cigars somewhere else.
Yeah.
W.
That's
You
exactly it.
just grab that at
Yeah,
random.
no,
I mean,
he dies. The brand goes away.
Oh,
The brand goes away, and you start with something else.
okay.
gotcha.
All
From
right.
the people that brought you Postania, now we have the Palmers. I mean, or
Well,
something.
look, here's the reality: is like Miguel Rocha just posted too. Like he just commented, like these guys that have been with us from day one. If we had to pivot out, let's say, let's say Skip picks up the phone and says, "I'm done. I don't want any part of this industry anymore. It's over."
Right, I'm running to be a senator.
Right. What? Yeah, exactly.
Right,
I'm gonna
I'm
change
going into politics.
Or
Okay.
priesthood.
Right, right.
We
I'm
would
gonna be a
we
chef.
would then have to, for one, I'd have to pivot out of that and then find somebody who I trusted, which is not easy to do in this industry. When I finally did that and we finally created a blend, it would not be Postania. It would be something else. And when we told all the people that have believed in us and been with us since day one, they're on board because they know that we're going to be 100% honest. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it would die. And then what would be cool is the Postania cigars would pop up every once in a while. Somebody would show us them, but they still have them. Like, damn, and then I would try and weasel them from them to smoke. And, and we would just move to the next thing.
And then would you still have Palmer be the director of that, or would he even go away since Postania? I'm just trying to...
because I have the thing. What do I do now?
We've got another arm.
Bitch.
We'll do a new.
That's the Florida Cigar Club arm. I'm running out of places.
Right over that.
Nipple.
Right over it.
Nipple.
I don't want a W tattoo.
Something on the face, like Tyson.
I'm at a point in my life now where it really doesn't matter. So
Whatever
you want. I don't care.
You're paying for it. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
For somebody that came in this industry with, and I'm assuming, I didn't ask, but I'm assuming no real heavy direct ties to specific manufacturers on a big level. Am I wrong in that thought?
No.
So how did you even reach out to Skip Martin? Like how? That's not an easy thing to reach out to.
Oh wait, I think he's talking about you.
Well, anyone, just kind of.
Oh, I met. Go ahead.
But you go. No, you.
I met Skip and Rosales and the entire Romacraft team through Mike and Greg. Mm-hmm. I became like the crazy uncle in the family that they just sort of got stuck with. Like, you're friends with Mike and Greg? Well, you know what? Palmer comes along too now.
Might as well bring Palmer.
We're getting used to him, so go ahead and bring him along.
Well, we called Chip, and Chip got us in touch with Skip. And
Chip's a hell of a guy.
I didn't mean to say Chip. I didn't mean to say Chip.
Chip's a great
awesome.
guy.
Chip is a real solid dude.
It's terrible that we lost him in that accident, but other than that.
So here's what happened. To kind of briefly surmise is, Instagram had just launched 15 years ago when we were kind of in our real infancy, and I had built this website. And if you go back that far, there weren't that many online retail stores. And I'm explaining to my brother, like, hey, we're gonna sell cigars online. He's like, the only people that do that are CI. They're these big guys. They have all this money. Blah blah blah. I'm like, no, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna build this all through social media. And that was one of the dumbest things anybody ever heard at the time, right? So what do? You go and you look up hashtags. At that point, I would look up #cigar, and I would like and comment on every single person that I saw for every hour on the hour until Instagram would kick me off, right? And then I'd go back an hour later and I'd do it again and I'd do it again methodically. Alarm would be set like a psychopath. And I built friendships from that. And when you build friendships want to support your business and they buy cigars from you.
Sure.
So it took off fast. It's like, boom, it's on, right? It's working. And, not still to this day, not everything's 100%, but, things were tracking in the right direction. Like, oh my God, people who are spending money on AdSense or whatever and trying to manipulate the system for tobacco laws and all that stuff. And here I am, boom. So much to a point where other big retailers had issues with it, so they went out of their way to slow us down from getting products, and it worked. And man, I was hurt, dude. Like that impacted me big because I've never looked at a business as a competitor, as someone that I'm like, well, no, you can't do business with them, and I'm going to put my thumb on them and hurt them. I'm like, oh, okay, you're good at what you do. Bet, let's run it. Let's see who's better, right?
Sure. A little friendly competition.
Like I never wish ill will on anybody. I do wish ill will on one person, but that's the only person.
It's not Palmer, is it?
It's definitely not Palmer. It's definitely not. So, I had found one of a buddy of mine. His name's Dan Stanley. I'll always give this guy credit for this. He sent me Aquitaine Addle-Addles, which are the Lanceros of ROCF cigars when they were unbanded.
Pay no attention to the woman behind me.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. She's walking the dogs.
So he sent me Aquitaine Addle-Addles. They were unbanded. I didn't think anything of them. I put them in my humidor at the shop, and I didn't smoke them in like 4 or 5 months later. He goes, hey, you ever smoke those cigars? I'm like, no, I'll smoke them right now. I smoked it, and I was like, this is an amazing cigar. Like, I don't know what these guys are doing, but this is next level. So I got in touch with Rosales, and I said, hey, I love your cigars. I want to be on board. I want to carry. He's like, oh, well, you got to take on. He gives you your standard. You can't just cherry pick. I'm like, all right, whatever. Yeah.
Minimum orders.
Like, I'm in it. Yeah, I'm like, no, it's just give. You give me what you have, and I will
take it on.
Yeah. So then I started building it, and it started doing really well. And then I'm like, all right, well, now I need to go down and meet the guy and, tell him what I want to do. I want to make a cigar that nobody else can mess with. And I went down there with my brother, and this was when Nika Sueño had like literally just opened their factory. They had just moved out of Esteban's house, and they're just starting to kind of get going on the factory. And I was like, hey, I want to make a cigar. He's like, all right, well, here's some tobacco, right? Like, let's start. Go ahead, start blending. And I messed it up, and Skip made sure that I didn't screw it up too bad and where I went wrong, and then we fixed it. And I had the Habano, my brother had the broadleaf, and boom, cigar.
So, Mike, when you get brought in, obviously you're brought in with the express purpose of growing something from nothing, in the sense of like a sales force. Obviously, were you guys using distributors before you brought on Palmer?
We had dabbled with some things out of Texas with Omerta, but it just never really developed. It was solely me that was handling the sales for the most part. And I try and keep myself pretty busy, aside from like, I do like to go to the gym and kind of keep my mind straight. I'll do that 3 times a week. I run a retail operation, online operation, wholesale operation, plus podcast. And then all of a sudden my kids got to an age where they're like, will you coach us in sports? And I'm like, okay. No,
and
sure.
It's not one sport. It's all sports.
It's everything. And,
all of them.
So it's like, I can't do everything, So what's really kind of funny is we were sitting down, and this is definitely Palmer's story, so I shouldn't even be sharing.
No, I'd rather have you tell it.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
I'm sitting down, we're sitting down in the private lounge with Matt Booth, and and I'm explaining to him where I'm getting kind of stressed out. I'm like, man, this is just too much. I can't successfully balance everything and all of them do well. And he's like, you need a guy to help sell everything get on the phone and sell on the national level. And, someone you can trust, someone you could, who does someone, that will do everything and that you can have candid conversations with. And I'm like, okay, well, that's just Palmer. There's nobody else I can talk to about all those things. And I'm like, do you want to do that? And he goes, sure, yeah, I'll do it. Like,
which is the way I answer most questions when he goes, hey, do you want to? Yeah, sure, why not?
What the hell?
What the hell?
So did you have to leave a job then, Palmer, or is this kind of a second or third or fourth job?
I've been self-employed for the last 20-something years doing that business with China. And when COVID came along, it slowly started to die. So about the time he made the offer, I had already been looking for something to replace the business I had. So it was just the ideal time for everybody. I had the discussion with my wife, explained to her what it was, because there is some travel involved, and
some travel.
Well, the way we do it is some, because I do things on the national level, and then I also do the state of Florida. So when I do the state of Florida, it is on the road. So the what it's supposed to be, and it never really has worked out exactly perfect for us yet, is 2 weeks on the phone, 2 weeks on the road. And then on the road, because we do the podcast on Monday, is a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So, it's not like I'm gone for 17 days at a time.
Okay, so it's not what you always hear, 80% of the year is travel.
No, because I do the national thing, and I don't, it's just not cost effective for me to fly into Wisconsin, and hit, 15 stores or whatever it is, and then fly back out. It's just not cost effective for us yet. It'll get to that point where we have somebody there, and I'm visiting, somebody who's already established there selling our stuff. That'll come hopefully sooner than later. But at the moment, the national stuff's handled by phone.
Well, Mike just gives you a ultralight glider. Essentially, you just fly from shop to shop, right?
We have been discussing
it's cheaper
lately.
That way.
Yeah, it is. Or one of those little gyrocopter things.
Yeah,
I'd be up for that too.
Yeah. 15 miles an hour in the air.
Right. I mean, how cool would that be? Like, oh, look, here comes Palmer.
We got an event tonight. All of a sudden, the lights close down like the
buy
Bulls
7
intro.
boxes, I'll land.
Yeah. You just got stuff on a parachute. You're just
just chucking it off the side.
So, Palmer, when you get into this, is it somebody that's been in sales for 25 years? Because I'm sadistic and sick, but as somebody that's been in, I'm always very fascinated. What was your first move in creating a sales company? How did you start that path? Did you have free reign to kind of create that, or were the brothers over you?
They have a system in place on how they handle the wholesale thing. So there's like this huge spreadsheet of all the customers they've ever had. We use QuickBooks that list, everybody who's ever bought anything from there. So basically, they just turned all that information over to me and said, here you go.
But did you have to like come up with a talk track? Like the first time you hit a store, what was that like to how it is now?
Well, several years ago, I thought I came up with the great idea that I was going to be a broker. I was going to take on 3 or 4 brands and sort of do it as a side thing, which was a horrible idea. I had brands that not many people had heard of. And, then you're walking into a shop going, would you like to buy my, this cigar? And they're like, what? Who's that? So after about 6 months of hitting my head on the wall, I went to Mike and go, you're absolutely right. I shouldn't have done this at all. This is stupid.
Can you guys hear that AC I just turned on or no?
Barely. Don't worry about it.
Just a little bit. Don't worry about it. It's fine. We want you to be comfortable.
Thank you so much.
Certainly.
You're so thoughtful.
Certainly. Don't make your wife pedal on the bike that keeps the air conditioner running for too long. She gets tired.
I'm already on it.
See? I knew it. She's such a wonderful woman.
Mm-hmm. So
Mikey has guided me in his style of doing it, and then I'm lucky enough to know guys that have been doing it, a lot longer than either one of us have, which I have access to them on the phone, if not in person. They'll call and give me tips. I know a lot of reps, so when they pop in the store, you always have the conversation with, so what's going well for you? Who's buying right now? Who's not buying? Is there a new shop opening? Stuff like that. And everybody's real good about exchanging information and stuff. So there's a network of salesmen in this industry that are very friendly and very helpful, that have gone out of their way to be accommodating to me and my silly questions at all hours of the day and night.
See, that's one of the rare things I think the cigar industry offers that a lot of others don't. Not everybody. Absolutely does not apply.
No, it's not everybody.
But there is a lot of people in this industry that will genuinely help you.
Yeah. Nobody's like, I'm not going to give my honey hole out because then they might not buy my cigar anymore. At least not the guys that I know. Or maybe those guys are just steering me wrong. I have no idea, because I go everywhere everybody tells me to go.
So how many on your team do you have for sales? Just you?
It's just me, man. You're
Just
looking at
you.
I am the entire department right here.
So when you walk into a shop, how do you walk into a shop I mean, it's hard for you. It's got to be hard for you to be somewhat covert, depending on where you go, because you're known inside the podcast. But do you prefer to go in loud and proud, or quiet and kind of just observing?
I walk in with my business card in my hand and introduce myself the minute I walk in the building.
Okay, so you don't try to sneak in and see what's buying.
Nope. I walk in. Are you the guy? Or are you in charge today? Is the man or woman who's buying? Whoever's in charge. Establish the connection as soon as you walk in. You hand in your card. I'm Mike Palmer with Powstanie Cigars. And then just start talking. Have you heard of us? Are you familiar with the brand? And then just go through the story.
What have you found to be the hardest part of getting your brand into a new shop? Is it the reorder, or is it the initial sale?
It's the initial sale. With our stuff, if you smoke it, you're gonna like it. That's the general rule. So if I can get it in there, the reorders, at least so far, the reorders aren't as hard to get as you would think.
Okay.
They might not come as fast as Mikey wants them to come, but they do come.
How many shops are you guys in nationwide?
A little over. Did you freeze, Michael? Did you lock up?
No,
I just.
Oh, right. My image, he was just shaking like he froze. Maybe he just got really.
He
cold.
was deciding if he was going to punish you for some reason or not. He's just waiting for it.
Oh, there's tons of reasons. I mean, it's just which one is he going to choose?
Yeah.
It's got to be over. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it's between 200 and 300. It was a little higher at one point, but we have scaled back to customers that are not accommodating, but customers that are willing to work with us. We don't want to just put it into anybody's shop. I mean, anybody can do that. You put it into anybody's shop and then it just dies, and that doesn't do anybody any good. You want to do in the shop where they're invested in their business and they'll be invested in your business, and then we're willing to grow as they grow. I mean, we don't require 7 shelves, 8 feet across. You got to buy everything. That would be nice. We would love that, but we're willing to grow our business with them as their business grows.
Now that brings up an interesting question for me. The boutique world, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't own a lounge. I've been to a few lounges across the country. I see that there are more lounges, more or less dedicated to a legacy, that carry some boutique, and then there's specific lounges that carry predominantly boutique. Where do you guys like to live at lounge-wise? Do you like to be in a predominantly boutique, or do you like to have the lounge where the legacy can come in and go, if you like X, then try this from Powstanie?
Personally, it's easier for me if they are a boutique-friendly shop.
Okay, explain boutique-friendly. Define boutique-friendly. How would you define that?
That the in their humidor, they're not predominantly legacy brands, as you keep mentioning, which are the Fuente, the Padron, the Monte Cristo, all that kind of stuff.
The generational stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the generational stuff, because that means their clientele is the kind that smoke that. They're not in that shop. Does not introduce new stuff maybe as much as a shop that's maybe heavier in the boutiques than they are in the legacy stuff. Just about every shop has to have some of that legacy stuff because people are going to come in. You always have to have the Fuente, the Padron, and that stuff. You have to have that.
Well, yeah, the big
But
three is needed.
yeah, but that doesn't mean you can't have the Espinosas, the Foundations, the Bostanas, the Caldwells, the boutique stuff.
And
Who do you think the big three, Ryan?
I would put Fuente. Pretty much I put this under one encompassing umbrella. The Altadis, what I would consider to be a generational legacy, what they have, the Romeo, the Monte Cristo, and then like a Perdomo. I would absolutely, pretty much, when I go to a shop, I always am guaranteed to see Romeo, Macanudo, Perdomo, and Padron. And literally in every shop.
All right, that's 4. One must go.
Well, the big three is in like the Altadis being the umbrella owner of that.
Altadis being the umbrella owner of like Monte Cristo, right?
Monte Cristo, and then because Romeo is STG.
All right,
but
pick 3.
Well, again, STG. The legacy brands from STG, legacy brands from Altadis, and I would say a Padron for sure. So those 3 companies.
But not Fuente. So not Fuente, not Perdomo.
Okay. I don't know.
Okay, there's 5, Michael. Stop pushing them in. There's 5.
But that's a legit question, because what would you say the big 3 are? Because there's definitely, you guys know numbers and sales numbers probably better than I do. Yeah. I would put Fuente as a top 3, but it's hard.
I think what's really kind of crazy is, I asked that question because I legitimately wanted to know what your perspective was. And
Altadis, STG, Perdomo, and if we're going to throw one more in there, I would say Fuente.
I think that realistically, you could live without Altadis if you wanted to. You could live without STG. You could live without STG if you wanted to. But you would need one of, for me, I would say Fuente for sure, and I would say Padron for sure, and the one that that no one likes to talk about is Drew Estate, is Acid, is
Oh my gosh, I guess I take that one for granted, because that's
one of the biggest selling cigars.
Was it like 100,000 Cubas a month are made or something ridiculous like that?
They take up more space in a humidor than anybody else.
We don't carry Perdomo. Not anymore.
See, that's rare. I don't know a shop I have walked into that was not a specific boutique brand shop that did not have Perdomo. So that's that. But see, I like that though. Not that you guys don't carry Perdomo. I happen to like Nick. But I like the fact that you guys don't carry them, because you're giving other brands an opportunity to shine. You're giving other brands an opportunity to come through. And oftentimes, a heavy cigar smoker is 1 to 2 a week. A light cigar smoker is a couple a year. If I only smoke a couple a year, I'm only going to typically buy what I know. Does that, so I like that. I would walk into your shop as a couple of cigars a year and be like, oh, seems like I don't know these. Let's dive right in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Well, it's kind of like, I know that Palmer was kind of explaining what he feels like works best. For me personally, I don't think it matters if it's legacy, more of a legacy store or a boutique store. What matters is the employees, and he was saying that.
No, yes, I agree.
The reality is that if the manager in the store likes the cigar is going to sell. If the employees like the cigar is going to sell. It doesn't matter if it's covered with Fuentes, Padrones, STGs, Altadis, Drew Estate, whatever. If your cigar is in there and they like it, it'll move.
So let me ask you this then, because that brings up a really interesting question. I've asked this to a few people. Do you like shops that have a tobacconist or just retail people?
I just like people that are real. I don't like people that are, you don't like the guy that just clocks in and clocks out. I don't know if I'd classify a person as a tobacconist. That's always really the kind of funny thing that's happened in this industry is the cigar expert. You know, I don't know what the hell that means, because I could sit down with the guy who's been smoking, I won't say a brand, but something that he's gotten for the past 5 years at ABC Liquor or Total Wine, and then I'll give him something and he'll be like, damn, this is amazing. But I don't consider myself an expert. I'm like, you don't have to consider yourself an expert to know if something's good or not. And you just tried something that just kind of blew your mind, and you've been smoking this whole time, right? So you don't have to be a tobacconist. You can just say, hey, I really like these cigars. These are good, right? You should try them. Well, what about them? They're really good. I don't need to hear about the age and all this other stuff. That's irrelevant. Like, you just smoke it. Do you like it? Is it good? Yeah. Is it better than anything else you've had? Awesome. Now you can put it in your rotation,
See, I love that mentality, because when I used to do cigar reviews, people would always come up to me like, how do you get leather or chocolate out of that cigar? I look at them and go, does it matter? Did you enjoy it is the better question. Well, yeah, I liked it. Well, then who the fuck cares what you taste out of it? You like the cigar, go with it. That's one of the reasons why I stopped doing the reviews, is because I got too many people going, I didn't get that out of it. And I go, how many cigars do you smoke? Well, I smoke one a month. Well, you probably won't get some of the potential nuances out of a cigar. The better question is, did you enjoy it? Because if you did, who cares if you got chocolate or virgin seal blubber or pecan pie out of it?
Are you Charlie Manop?
I know. Yes, thank you for getting that reference.
Teriyaki chicken.
Thank you.
I got
so
teriyaki
much.
chicken out of that cigar.
Thank you so much for getting that reference.
Why are cigars the only thing where that seems to happen? I mean, if you have a really good steak, you don't go, I tasted cherries in this steak. It's just steak. It tastes like steak. Why can't a cigar taste like tobacco? It's good tobacco. I enjoy the flavor of the tobacco. Not like, I taste teriyaki chicken, which he just got from our 91 rated San Andreas cigar, which we're very pleased. But, still.
We pick on Charlie every once in a while with the descriptions and stuff. But I will tell you this, man, there is nobody close in this industry that is as knowledgeable and as involved as that guy. I mean, it's incredible. And you know what? If he chalks something up, he's given me some bad reviews in the past, and I've broken his balls because of it. It's not the end of the world. He's allowed to have his opinions, and if he doesn't like it, he doesn't like it, But man, that guy knows so much stuff. He's forgotten more stuff 100%. About this industry than I will ever know.
I would say the only one that's as knowledgeable encyclopedic wise to him would be Coop. I would say those two are cigar encyclopedias.
Coop is definitely up there, for sure. He knows his stuff.
So of who I watch and who I pay attention to. There's a lot of people that are super knowledgeable, but when I'm talking and speaking specifically about cigar media, wanting to know history and stuff like that, Half Wheel and Coop are usually who I go to. So, but that, again, I'm curious to hear about this, Mike, because I love the personality that you bring to this industry of like, yeah, I'm just making cigars. Like they're rolled up tobacco. I'm selling them. You like them, you don't. How do you take an 89? And then question for Mike is, what do you think of top 20 list, top 25 list? But let's start with Mike. What do you think of a bad review? How do you read them? Do you care? Does it bother you? Do you seethe? And then Mike, you can give us the true essence of how he partakes if he lies.
Okay, so go ahead.
Liar!
Oh, sorry, I got excited.
For me personally, someone's opinion of the cigar, it's not a big difference. I aim to please. I like to make sure that when we're making is good, and I believe that it's good, and I can argue why it would be good without question, as far as overall tobacco, fermentation process, the factory standard that we work with. Like, all of those things are next level. So I know that I'm making, or we're making, great products.
100%.
If somebody beats it up and says, "Oh, this sucks" or whatever, I'm just kind of grateful to be in the conversation.
Okay, so any talk is good talk.
Yeah, like that was always a funny thing that Palmer and I have gone back and forth about. It's the ongoing joke is, "You're the worst pirate I've ever heard of," and the response is, "But you have heard of me," right? So, and that was I think that saying is really what kind of kept us going in the beginning of the podcast.
Now, do you take a negative review and play with it? Like, have fun with it? Oh, 87. I actually think it was an 85. Or whatever.
It's going to be a clip for sure.
Yeah, I think you know what? I think that it depends. The answer to that is it depends. All right, it depends on who it comes from, and it depends if we feel like we want to give them attention. Because there have been times when people have said stuff, and emotionally it would feel great to just eviscerate them on a podcast in a short clip or whatever, but I also don't want to give them any more clout, right? So
it's a fine
like
line.
even like the back and forth stuff with Coop. I love Coop. Coop's awesome.
I love Coop.
When the initial
fond of him. I don't know if I love him.
When the initial pop happened, where I didn't know what he was mad at me about, right? I had no idea. So he mentioned it on a podcast that we were on together about the whole Guy Fieri thing or whatever, and I was like, "Oh, he's mad." I'm like, "Oh, this will be great," because I know that, like, if I get an emotional response out of somebody, I could take that and run with it, right? And I have no problem giving attention to Coop, So I'm like, "All right, this will be fun. Let me, smack him around a little bit." And he went quiet for a little bit, and then he popped back up and said something. I was gonna let it go. I was like, I'm moving on. It's not, it's not funny anymore. And then Ben Lee started chiming in on it too. I was like, okay, that's fine. Well,
okay, we're back.
So I think that's where things kind of lie for me. If it's a bad review and I don't feel like somebody really warrants the attention, we won't give it to them. If it's a bad review and I like and respect the guy, we're going to play with it. We're going to have fun with it for sure.
Now, Palmer, that brings me to your question is what's your, and Mike, you could chime in on this too, but Palmer, we'll start with you. What's your take on top 20, top 25? I only smoked this list. I put my entire sales salary into cigar buying based on XYZ list. Like, what's your take on lists?
I don't think it's as big a thing as it used to be. At least we don't see it in the shop. Nobody comes in carrying, the Cigar Aficionado top 25 anymore. Goes, I have to have this cigar. It's the #1 cigar. It just doesn't happen like it used to.
It's true.
So do you think that the lists are kind of self-centered palate sex fest in the sense of like, this is what I really, really loved, not necessarily what the industry might love? Does that make sense?
I don't know. It's so skewed anymore. I mean, 15 different shows can have 15 different lists. Some of the cigars on the list you may have never heard of before. We go through the Cigar Aficionado top 25. The first question we go is, have you seen this before?
Have you heard of it?
Have you heard of it? And then we go, have you smoked it? And then we go, okay, and if somebody smoked it, then okay, what's your opinion on this cigar? Does it deserve to be on the list? And anymore, at least 50% of them, we're all looking at each other going, I never had this before. Have you had this before? I haven't had this before.
So do you think Cigar List should come out with, and I know the dojo guys are really adamant about this, that for a cigar to be on a list, it's got to come out that year. Not, oh, this is a really good rendition of X cigar that came out 15 years ago. The crop was unreal this year.
Well, see, that's another thing. Everybody has different rules of what's qualified to get on your list. So
that's fair.
Yeah, if there was some type of standardized thing, where everybody was using the same, and then the scoring system is all different by shows or by magazine, also.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
So how do I know the number one, Rocky Mountain Cigar Show is the one I'm gonna like, and I'm not gonna like the Cigar Dojo number one
Well, yeah,
cigar.
and as far as Dojo is concerned, we have no idea if they like us or if they hate us or if we even exist in their
I wouldn't get to
realm.
say that, but yeah, we don't know.
Like, I love Eric. I say hi to him all the time.
Yeah, we
like,
talk
hey,
to him all the time. We see him.
but no, like we're not.
We've done his show once.
Yeah, and it was great.
It was great. It has to be one of the highest rated shows I've ever had.
It was so epic. We had
Mikey
Jensen fighting in the background.
Yeah, he had those curtains behind him there open, and me and another guy, we did random acts every once in a while behind him. He was dressed as a dinosaur, and I chased him around the backyard. We had lightsaber fights. I mean, we were superheroes, all during the 2-hour interview. Every 15 minutes, we had something different.
And I just acted like nothing was going on.
And he acted, Mikey just acted like nothing was happening behind him at all.
Have you guys ever been asked to put out a Cigar Hustler top 10? Not have you ever been asked? It's a stupid fucking question because of course it has. Of course you have been. But like, one, have you guys ever considered? And two, do you think that both of you, my guess is your brother would be part of that building and maybe a few others would be able to be unbiased about your own cigars in a list?
I've pushed Mikey to do a list almost every year, but it's out of 10, it's 4 Postañas, 3 Roma Crafts, so it's just all the stuff he likes to smoke. Which really, if you're making a list, that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be somebody else's cigar because you had one. It's not the one you like.
And that leads me to the other question. That is, do you think that you can actually create a list with all of these different cigars in it without having a dozen people smoking everything?
Well, on our Patreon show, we review a cigar every week as part of our Patreon show. We tried compiling that into a list one year, but with everything else we have going on, it was just too much work for me to do.
What's really kind of funny is I honestly believe that we are unbiased when it comes to cigars. We smoke cigars all the time. And if you're a brand and you come out with a new cigar and I think it's great, I could hate you as a person. If it's a great cigar, I'm going to say, damn, that was a really good cigar.
All right, so I'm going to throw you on the spot, Mike. What's a cigar you like more than yours?
None.
Yeah, He doesn't like anything better than his.
I will tell you, there are some cigars that do belong in that conversation, right?
That wasn't meant to be a gotcha question either.
Yeah, no, dude, you can do a gotcha question all day to me. I don't care. Anything I hurt my feelings. Here are the cigars that I smoke that are not Postaña. Number 1, Roma Craft, right? I love the EC Brotherly Kindness. I think that's an amazing cigar. The cigar I smoke religiously is the Neanderthal HN. All the time. It is a remarkable cigar, and it tastes like nothing else in the industry. So I love it. I go to it all the time. I try my best to bum the Segundos off of them because I like the Segundos even better than the Banded ones.
Yeah, Chip's got some interesting stuff.
Chip is very fascinating.
Chip is a very nice one. He's very generous with his Segundos. Yeah.
So, I know that they have good tobacco.
Is he watching? I so hope he's watching.
Probably not. And I know they have good tobacco, and I will always smoke a lot of their products over and over again. Now, I've had the opportunities to mess with that good tobacco and then make something that fits more of my palate. So, of course, I'm going to smoke my stuff the majority of the time. Now, getting out of that factory completely, the one cigar that I think is fantastic that I will grab from time to time is the Padron 50th Maduro Toro cigar. I absolutely love it. I love that cigar. I think that's amazing. It's unique in its own.
It's a heavy cigar.
If you say so. I smoke too much. So
no, I love the heavy stuff. I would absolutely not give that to a light smoker without a heavy deal.
Yeah, I mean, the funny part is when it comes to giving a cigar out like that's higher end to people, is if they're not involved at all in the industry, they have no idea what it is and they don't appreciate it anyways. So it's
I
just
agree.
it's just a waste of time, and usually you feel stupid about giving it afterwards, because I've given it to a couple people, like I wanted it to be like a significant, like, hey man, I appreciate you and I really want you to have this, and they're just like, I'll just smoke it later or something. All right, well fuck you. You
Give
know.
it back.
You know, somebody told me once that they have cigars for cigar smokers that visit, and they have cigars for non-smokers that visit, knowing full well. Like I have buddies that smoke just on the golf course, but they tell
Right.
their wives when they're coming over, you know, I'm gonna have a cigar tonight. Like they're like amping them up. I'm gonna stink later. Like deal with it. Those I actually will give, not necessarily a lesser value, something I still like, but that's a lot more on the milder side. I wouldn't, or a little bit less complexity, or definitely less expense. I would, I don't like giving a $20, $30 cigar to somebody that smokes once or twice a year. They'd never appreciate it, like you said.
Yeah. For me, I always give them Postanes because I feel like that's the best cigar, and I have no problem with giving that to somebody, right? So, you could argue the fact that if you gave them something less, it's like if somebody came over your house, and everybody's having steak, and you give that guy a cheeseburger, it's like, no, I want you to have the steak too. Maybe you don't eat it all, whatever, but you should be part of that experience, you know. But that's also not a $30 cigar, a $20 cigar, right? So it's not the end of the world, especially for me because I smoke all the segundos, so they're all on them.
What about you, Mike? How has kind of your journey been through this with introduction of cigars to people? When you're in a lounge or somebody's asking you to help pick out cigars, how what is your methodical process for trying to fit somebody in a cigar that one's not going to make them throw up, be too much, and two is going to allow them to want to come back? Because I've always heard, and I have friends that I've been like, dude, that was a dick move, where they'll give somebody a cigar that's super nicotine just to watch them pop, and I'm like, you just wrecked them for cigars for the rest of their life.
Right. Now they're never going to smoke
Like
again.
it was fun for you for 30 seconds, but they're never going to smoke again. Like you just
Right. We're never going
ruined
to see
it.
that guy again.
So
Well,
how do you approach that?
you can start with what kind of cigars do you like to smoke? So you get an idea of what the guy is looking for. And then from there, you start talking to him. You go, would you like to try something a little different? Maybe move up just a little bit. And then you can move them up just a notch to the next thing. And then hopefully from there, they come back again. And then they're like, that one was good. I'm really set on that. Can we go a little bit higher? Sure, we can pick out something a little bit more.
Do you break it down by like, what do you like to drink? What are you planning on? Like, are you golfing? Like, do you break it down by the event, or like if they're a coffee drinker, it's maybe something different than if they're a bourbon drinker or a rum drinker or so on and so forth?
Yeah, sometimes if it's a guy that he'll go, well, I don't really smoke that often. You're like, okay, then what are we doing with this cigar? Where are we going to be going? What are you going to be doing? So, because I mean, if he's not a regular smoker, I mean, you can take him anywhere. It's like, the guy goes, I'd like to travel, but I don't know where I want to go. So, what are you looking to do? And then you fit the cigar to fit the situation, or the drink, or the food. Oh, look at that, San Andreas.
I love your guys' San Andreas. I mean, this is when I order, like, this is one that I love San Andreas. I love Maduro. I love it's I would put this probably for my palate at a medium, maybe
I
medium
don't know where my
plus.
camera is.
I wouldn't put this at like a super full body, but then again, some people might consider this a super full body cigar. And that gets me to kind of my next question is, how do you take people's palates? So when they're asking you, whether it be a dumb question or a smart question around cigars as far as taste and stuff, how do you set up trying to figure out their palate? You asking, it's kind of the, how do you set up for the cigar, but do you get into what they like to eat, what they like to do, where they do the environment for the cigar? I'm a firm believer that the environment makes the cigar, but in a vast majority of the cases, I've had a great cigar where somebody wouldn't shut up about politics, and you're like, fucking, you ruined it. And
There's cigars that I smoke that I might not particularly like, but if the person I'm with, I mean, there's certain brands that aren't my favorites, but if I'm with the person from the brand, they seem to be better.
Okay.
You know, and,
Okay.
then they leave one with you, and you're like, oh, this was really good yesterday. When, just for example, this is really good when Terrence was here yesterday. I'm gonna have this again tomorrow. And you have it tomorrow, you're like, can we get Terrence to come back? Because this doesn't taste like it did yesterday when he was here.
And that's the experience part of cigars, right?
Right, exactly.
That's what allows the janitors, the fast food staff, the lawyers, the doctors to all get together in a room and not care about bragging rights on stuff, but all just enjoy the cigar. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, exactly.
I-
You're exactly right. It's the one place where a janitor and a president of a company can sit next to each other, both enjoying a cigar, and they're on a, at least for that time inside the shop, they're on the same level.
Now, as shop owners, what's your take on banned smokers? Like, or only Cubans? I'm a bit curious. You guys have never touched on this on your show, but what do you think to the pinky up, banned out, a guy smoke it like this so everybody sees it type of smoker? Do you guys see those in your shop, or is that not so much in the boutique world? That's more in the legacy shops.
You know,
Does that make sense?
I think, yeah, no, I see what you're saying. And like, here's a reality. Well, the one great thing about being part of this whole industry is you learn how to deal with people that are assholes and how to not be bothered by them, right? So if the conversation starts with, I only smoke Cubans, the conversation's over for me, and I'm have a good day. I'm good. If you come up to me and say, I smoke some Cubans, I enjoy them, I'm willing to try something else. I don't know a lot about cigars, or then I'm open to having a conversation with somebody. It's like me walking into a lawyer's office and be like, yeah, I've dealt with attorneys all the time. I know, it's like, no, what do you?
I know the law.
Yeah.
I Googled it.
Yeah.
Right.
I watch Cops.
I
LA law.
watched Law and Order. I studied
Right.
Sam Waterston.
Yeah, exactly.
Suits is my favorite show.
That's usually the same guy. Usually the person that's making that comment is the same guy who's sniffing the cellophane in a humidor. It's like, all right.
My
Right.
biggest pet peeve is when they take it, put it right up to their nose. You're like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of you'll have an understanding as to where you stand with me instantly. If I correct you, that means that I'm like, hey, look, that's not how that works. Like, let me show you. That means that I actually give a shit enough to explain it to you, right? I've had people come into the store, especially when I was running the register, and they just talked to me like I was a complete ass. I'm like, okay, yeah. And they would I would distinctly remember one guy who was way smarter than me.
Look, I said I was sorry, okay?
And now he works.
You bring it up all the time.
He said smarter than him, though.
Yeah. And
that's how you know it's true.
So this guy, he shut me up 2 or 3 times as I was trying to speak with him and have a conversation. He's grabbed a Fuente Grand Reserve, and it's in cedar with the ribbon.
Mm-hmm.
He goes into the lounge and he sits down, and I'm sitting down with him, and he lights the thing up.
Oh, with the cedar on.
Oh. Yeah. I just watched it. I just let it happen. I was like, yes, bud. I was like, oh shit, dude, you just started a small fire. Are you okay? What'd you do? Oh, I don't know. I just lit it. I'm like,
are you tasting cedar?
Oh, yeah.
did you take the wood off of it?
Like a campfire going on?
No. Oh man, you didn't know that. Oh,
You didn't know you take that off? Oh, how awkward for you.
You knew so much.
No, you can't get a refund. I'm sorry, you bought that. You burned it. You buy it.
And what's really kind of funny about that, man?
That is ridiculous. I just gotta stop you on that. I don't even know how I would respond if somebody all of a sudden whoosh.
It was amazing. It was
fire.
I was like, this guy has like shooshed me, and now I get to watch this. Yeah. Thank you.
I know what I'm doing.
But what's really kind of fascinating about that is that's not income based. It's not about how much money you make or how accomplished you are as a person. I have seen people that have moderate incomes that are complete assholes. I've seen people that are extremely wealthy be complete assholes. I've seen people that are extremely wealthy be awesome. And I've seen people that are, have moderate incomes be awesome. So it's all about who you are as a person, We've been working with a private lounge for a few months now. And I got to tell you, man, every person that I've talked to that has come into that place, they crush it on a financial level, and they're all super cool. They've all been like, hey, I don't know a lot about cigars. I smoke things from time to time. What do you want? What can you help me? I'm like, absolutely. I haven't really run. I want to knock on wood here. I don't want to jinx it, but I haven't really come across that in specific avenues where you think that would just kind of be the standard, right? So that's what's really kind of remarkable is like you can be an ass and it doesn't matter how much you make. You're just an ass.
That's true. Dollar figure has no differentiation on your assery in your life. So, Mike, I want you to define, and you guys are I asked this to every boutique company because I feel like the answer is different. Define boutique cigar company as your definition, not an industry definition, but Mike Palmer's definition of boutique cigars.
Well, that is a good question. Other than the industry line about less than 1 million cigars made a year, I don't know where else you would go with that.
Okay, so you agree to that less than 1 million cigars a year. So even
Well,
if I
I
was
mean,
1 million cigars a year at $60 a cigar, I'm still considered boutique. So dollar value made means nothing.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay. That's an honest question. That's an honest answer. Would you agree with that, Mike?
I would, 100%. Okay. The line is about 1 million annual production.
Now, if you guys were 1.5 million, would you consider yourself boutique?
Boutique plus. I mean, where do you go? Yeah,
I think
right.
Yeah, I think that there a topic of discussion definitely needs to be had now, where it's sort of this mid-range brand that exists that are no longer really considered boutique. They're considered.
Would consider Espanola not boutique. They're over $1 million a year.
Yeah,
but some would consider them boutique.
Yeah, same with Dunbarton.
Right.
I think Roma produces 1 million by choice. Like Espinosa and Dunbarton, those guys, those mid-level dudes, I don't think they belong in a boutique conversation.
So do you think you can have a Drew Estate create a boutique cigar, or by default, because it's Drew Estate, that cigar cannot be boutique? Like a boutique line?
I think once you're part of a company that's no longer boutique, you can't have a boutique line.
So what do you mean? So for instance, say they spun off a new cigar called the Scallywag Pedal Wagon or whatever. And right, that's a good name, right?
Copyrighted. Rocky Mountain Cigar Show, copyright. Scallywag Pedal.
So if they were to come out with that and run that as a boutique line, keep that cigar small, could they actually have a boutique line in their portfolio?
No.
Okay. So some say yes. Some say yes.
I could see them trying to brand it that way, but still, it's not part of a boutique company.
I don't think that they'd try and brand it that way. They'd brand it as limited production. Limited production is more sought after.
So where does it become a legacy brand in your opinion? Is it years or is it sales?
It's both.
Yeah.
Okay. And what would you find to be a good mix of, dude, you're not far from, like, what's the rule for a classic car? Classic car's 25 years, right? That's typically the rule. So what would be a rule of thumb in your mind? If Powstanie is around for 30 years and sells less than 1 million cigars for those 30 years, would you consider yourself a legacy at that point?
No.
Okay. So what makes a legacy a legacy?
And what the hell would be wrong?
I would say, yeah.
In 30
Right.
years, still only selling 1 million.
Yeah, no.
That was
I'm
just an
I'm-
example.
I'm long and dead, thank goodness. But
Yeah, I'd be cursing him. It's all Palmer's fault.
we should have went a different way, Greg. I
We
told
should
you.
have hired someone different.
We should have pushed Groover more.
Someone was available. We could have found somebody.
Because at some point, Fuente was quote unquote boutique. So where
Yeah, I
was
think
that
it's
line?
probably 25 years and around 5 million annual. You're in that conversation.
Okay, so not either or, but both combined.
Yeah. But you know, we have this wonderful thing in the United States called capitalism, right?
It's incredible.
And if you're doing something for 20 years and you're selling less than 1 million sticks, you're probably not doing it for 20 years. You're probably
sure.
done at some point. And you're like, you know what?
Yeah, this might not have been a good. We should have done the tattoos.
I'd like to revamp. I'm gonna become a mortgage broker. Get in the cubicle. I don't know, something. You know, something's got to be better than this.
So let me ask you: at what point in time will you guys feel you have made it? And I know what I mean by that is to where like you guys would put yourself up in the realm of a Fuente or the realm of some of the bigger legacy brands. Even though you might not sell that number, when would you guys feel that you're more or less at that level?
All right, let me answer. I know
Yeah,
Mikey. I know Mikey really, really well. I don't think he'll ever feel that he's made it.
Yeah, you got that right.
Right. He has a huge problem with people telling him he does things well or he's done good or any type of praise. He has a hard time handling that and processing that.
So a company-owned Rolls-Royce, you would think your company made it.
Why
Well,
not two?
We all want Ferraris. We
Why
want
not
drink.
two, Mike? That's perfect.
Right. Yeah. We all
You know?
decided many years ago we're getting Ferraris, not ones we drive. We're just getting drinking Ferraris, just ones we sit in.
That's you and Greg. I want to drive.
You don't want a Ferrari? Oh, you want to drive it? Me and Greg just want to sit in the driveway in our Ferraris and to just drink. He's in his, I'm in mine. We're not sharing.
Yeah, I prefer to drive in mine.
Oh, well, okay, you can drive yours.
So here in closing, I'm curious if Mike, if you were to buy Palmer a gift.
I thought it was stopping there. I thought you were just going to buy me.
No. Well, are you up for sale?
Everything's got a price, Ryan.
Mike Palmer at your local street corner. But if you were to, you'll see it all over Denver, by the way. It's a beautiful place. It's full of shit and tents. But if you were to buy Palmer a gift, and it was the last gift you ever bought Palmer for the rest of his life, what would it be? Mike, same question, or Palmer, same question to you.
Okay, so here's the thing about Palmer is a very simple guy. He needs minimal things. Like he's
it drives my wife crazy, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's easy to say I'd buy him a big house, but he wouldn't give a shit about that. He'd be like, okay, who's gonna clean all this? You know?
What do I do with the 75 rooms I never go in?
You know,
It's ridiculous.
But you could get him a nice car, but he'd be like, all right, who's gonna get the oil? I don't want to get the oil change. I'm not gonna drive it that much, you know. I could see both of those things. If I had an immeasurable amount of money and I was buying Palmer a gift, and this isn't something that he would think about, it would be a watch that's probably one of one, that's absolutely ridiculous in its value, worth millions of dollars, but wouldn't look like it was worth millions of dollars.
Okay, classy.
So he would wear it all the time because he knew that it came from somebody that really appreciates all the things that he does, and he knows that it's extreme value, right? If it was gaudy, he wouldn't want it.
Okay.
But if it was classy and extremely nice, he would wear it because he knows that it came from somebody who gave a shit about him.
Okay.
And then I'd bury him when he died.
And take the watch.
He would take that with him.
And regift it too. Regift it, right? What about you, Palmer? What would you buy Mike or Mike's brother, whichever you like better? If it was the last gift,
I have to pick one.
if it was the last gift you ever got them, what would it be and why? Because Mike went in thoughtfully, so you better
Oh yeah,
come back.
he did it.
Your raise might be based on this question.
He did good. For a couple of years, we did this thing where we were trying to one up each other on birthday presents, and it got ridiculous to where we were gonna have to start buying airplanes and helicopters and stuff. And we just decided, look, this is enough. Neither one of us can afford this. We're gonna stop here. But he did one year get me this. Where's my camera? He got me this lovely little knife, and it's a Spyderco, so I think it's expensive.
Yeah, those are nice.
I've carried it every day in my pocket since the day he gave it to me. And I lost it one day, and it was going to be the end of the world for me. And I found it, thank goodness. I've broken the tip, and I sent it back and had the tip remade on it by the Spyderco people. So he's right. Something like this means more to me than if he was to get me a fancy car or a house or something.
So what would you get him?
Let's see. I would find the world's best trainer and give Michael an unlimited account with the guy that he would be to his beck and call 24 hours a day. Anything he wanted, anything he needed.
Be a random dude. I like where you're headed.
Would there be massages included with that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think he gets massages regularly, but we have a customer that comes into the shop on a regular basis who's a very large man with these big, giant, meaty paws. And Michael will get a chiropractic adjustments from mine. And he's not a chiropractor by any means. He runs a cigar shop. He'll rub Michael's shoulders. He'll crack his back. He'll adjust his neck.
Oh, yeah,
So. Well, man, I'll hire Jimmy to just be at your beck and call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Now,
there you go.
Now, what's one of y'all's favorite cuts when it comes to cigars? Mike, we'll start with you.
Me or Palmer?
Mike. You.
Just a straight cut with the scissors. I use scissors.
Okay, straight cut. What about you, Palmer?
For the most part, I straight cut with the scissors.
Okay, so you guys don't do the blender's pick.
Carry
you
this.
Just pick the cap off.
What the hell is a blender's? Oh, where you go like this?
Pick the cap off. Yeah, that's what I always call it, a blender's pick.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a pinch, of course, but I like scissors.
So, Palmer, we'll start with you on this one. What's your favorite pairing?
I'm not a big liquor drinker anymore. I just can't. My body doesn't process it well. I get massive heartburn and acid reflux. So, for the most part, it's coffee in the morning, water. One of the good things about being in this business is you learn to smoke without having to have anything to drink.
Yep. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of similar in that fashion. I drink a lot of water. I drink a lot of Pellegrino. I drink a lot of black coffee. So all those pairings are good. Root beer is kind of cool every once in a while, or like a Coke, but yeah, keep it simple, man.
I've heard Dr. Pepper is a good one.
Yeah, I think it's like I was talking with a guy the other day at the gym, and he's like, I was in Cuba. Whenever it starts like that, I'm like, okay, here we go. And he's like,
I bought a Cohiba with a glass sliding screen on it.
Right, yeah, exactly. From this guy on the corner.
He's a sweetheart of an old man, and he usually drops a lot of wisdom because he's lived a hell of a life, right? This was not one of those conversations. He goes, when I was in Cuba, I met the manager of Cohiba. I'm like, okay. And he couldn't name Cohiba. It was one of these big cigar brands. Like, oh, Cohiba. He goes, yeah, that was it. I'm like, okay.
It's real.
He told me, he showed me what to do with the cigar and dip it in honey to smoke it. Oh yeah, he did that too, right?
And I'm like, tequila.
And
I'm like, oh, okay. And he goes, and it tasted great. I was like, it probably tasted like honey, right? So I think about pairings. I think about, look, I just like the cigars for what they are. I don't need them really paired with anything. You know,
So you don't have a specific Postania that you're like, oh, with coffee, this just curls my toes.
No, I mean, my particular Postania in the morning is the Connecticut, right? The Connecticut Toro or the Corona Gorda. And sometimes I have coffee and sometimes I'm just drinking water. Either way, I'm good with it, you know. But I'm the psychopath that smokes on the way to the gym. And then I take the cigar and I stick it on the windshield wiper so it's kind of pointing up. When I get out of the gym, I will light it back up and smoke again. It's a little bit drier and a little bit crunchier. So, and it's still good. So I'm that guy.
Would you run sets with it in your mouth if you could?
Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah, if they let him, sure.
It's like a
Absolutely.
steam train.
If there were ashtray stands in the gym, I would just set it down, take a breath of air, and go back to fucking banging out a set.
New gym idea.
Our private lounge at the shop was almost a gym, and I'm sure that's what he would have done. It would have been a smoking enhanced gym or something.
You got to think about how small of a percentage you just went, though, right? Like a small percentage of people smoke cigars, right? And of that realm of people, a small percentage of them that smoke cigars work out on the regular basis.
It's even smaller.
They're mainly built like me.
Yeah. So, like, you know,
pear shape.
I'd probably be like one of 3 people in this gym.
Well, I assume that was your whole reason for doing it. It was going to be your private gym.
I would love to have a private gym.
Right.
You know, I think that's pretty awesome.
Well, then I changed my answer. I would buy you a private gym.
Oh, that's fair. I think that the one cool thing about the gym, though, is you get to have good conversations with a lot of people.
That's
very true. It's private.
That's very true. So, Mike, we'll start with you on this one. What is your favorite rapper? You can give me musician, but I'm primarily looking for cigar rapper. You can give me both, too. Some people give me both. Some people give me just cigar. It's up to you.
When you say Mike, are you talking about me?
Yeah, we don't know which one you're
we decided that. You were Mike.
I know, but then you started calling you Mike.
Then you started calling me Mike, and we got all confused.
It's tough, okay? I got 2 mics on the show. I'm trying to
Chip is going to have no idea who you're talking to.
Chip's not going to know anything.
Chip's going to be upset.
I'm calling him Chip from now on, too.
I don't know if you want to poke that bear. So you cry.
What's your favorite rapper?
I don't really have a favorite rapper, man, because I smoke a Connecticut in the morning. I smoke the Habano in the afternoon. Sometimes I'll have a broadleaf, and then I always close out with 2 San Andreas. So I don't think I have one. The more I think about it.
Well, let me ask it this way then. What's a rapper you don't have in your portfolio that you would love to?
Ooh.
I don't know. I think that whenever I make a cigar, it's fun to make something out of something that's challenging, right? So, Sumatra, we made a small batch run called Catastrophic Failure. And it was a Sumatra blend that I didn't blend, but I loved. I thought it was amazing. I figured out how to kind of morph it into what I thought would make it acceptable. And it didn't track well for like the first month. No one wanted to buy it. It was pretty funny. And so much to a point where I'm like, listen, whenever we sell a cigar on a wholesale level, we won't sell it retail online for several weeks after. That way we give online guys. Yeah, it's I just believe in providing an opportunity, right?
Sure.
You go out of your way for your customers. Now, my customer at that point is not just a consumer, it's the retailer. And being a small retailer, I will protect the small retailer as long as they do the right thing, right? So, a lot of these guys didn't want to buy it at first. I'm like, okay, are you sure? Because I'll take the field on this, and I'll push through all of them. And then all of a sudden, like they started to pop and people started to like them. And then all of a sudden you got these reorders. And then all of a sudden other people started calling back like, oh, I really need this apparently. It's like, okay. So like the Sumatra was an interesting wrapper in that aspect, but I wasn't necessarily geared towards making a cigar with it until it kind of happened. You know, you know, it would be cool. It would be good Manafina. Good Brazilian Manafina.
That's a good one. I love that.
And
that would fit your profile, I feel.
Yeah, the problem is that it has to be good, and I think that with Sumatra, with Brazilian Arapiraca, with Brazilian Matafina, hell, I'd even have the argument with San Andreas. A lot of people make cigars with tobacco that's not that good. So, you know, it would have to be, and not even necessarily rushed, just bad harvests. Okay. You know, and then maybe the harvest is bad and they want to make it. I just think that a bad harvest is usually where things start to go wrong, right? And at that point, you've already you've had a whole growing season, and here it is, and you're like, oh man, I don't know. So, you know, people will still buy it, and like that can be a whole weird thing too, because you don't want to bankrupt the farm, right? It's like, and they need to grow, so somebody's got to buy it. Okay, well then somebody's got to sell it. You could argue any avenue of that in the industry as to how those things appear, but it'd have to be good quality stuff, primo stuff, you know, in order to use. I would say Brazilian Matafina.
Okay, so Brazilian Matafina. What about you, Mike? What's a wrapper or what's something in your portfolio you'd like to see that you don't currently have?
I have not been to tobacco school yet, so
come on, Mike.
I've been hinting I would love to make a trip down to see Chip and the gang down there.
This is gonna last forever now.
It's gonna last forever. I have one cigar that I have blended with the extreme help and tutelage of Zia Cordova Morales. Other than that, my expertise sort of stopped. I smoke a lot of Connecticut's. From Connecticut, I would go to a Habano, which is the wrapper on the BDP cigar.
Okay. Now, here in closing for the night, I stole this question from inside the actor's studio. I just think it's a good self-reflective style question. Palmer, we'll start with you on this. If and when you believe in a creator and you meet them, what do you want to hear?
You did good.
Okay. What about you, Mike? If and when you meet a creator, whatever it is, what do you want to hear?
Palmer's up here. We need you to come get him.
Like the higher power?
Whoever you meet at whatever pearly gates you believe in, what do you want to hear?
I don't know. Never really thought about that.
That's why I like asking the question, because it's an introspective question.
Yeah.
I would like to know I was a good person. You know, that's it. You did good. You know, your life is over. You've done everything you're supposed to do, everything you did do. And he just looks at you and goes, you know what? You did good.
Yeah.
You know, good father, good friend, good businessman, whatever that means. But just my time here was worth something.
I don't know. I'd try and negotiate terms going back. You know?
So you want him to say, we're sorry, this was a horrible mistake.
You know, it's like
your time was not up.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I've never heard that one before.
If you do him well, though, that makes complete sense.
I feel like job's not done.
Yeah, I wasn't finished.
You know, there are some more.
Give me 5 or 10 more years. That's all I need. 5 or 10 more years. That's it.
I think that honestly, I think the bigger part would be to know that everybody that I left behind is okay.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, you did everything right, and they're gonna be okay because of that. I think that would be the best. That would be the right thing. That would be what I would want to hear. Like you did, you know. And I guess in some aspects you did good, right? But like, no, it's all gonna work out for them. You you did everything you could to make
Come
sure
rest.
that it would work out for them.
Yeah.
You know,
Come
yeah.
rest. You've deserved
Yeah.
your rest. So, so second part to that, this will be the last question of the night. And we'll start with you, Mike. How do you want the cigar industry to remember you? And Palmer will have the same question for you. How do you want the cigar industry to remember you when you're gone?
For me, I think that I would want people to respect me as far as who I was and what I represented, and realize that if they were up to no good, they should cross the street if they saw me at all times. Like, it was best that they just didn't even cross paths.
Okay.
I think that's how I would want to be remembered.
Okay, someone not to cross, but somebody to be respected.
Yeah, like, you know, I was, you know, if someone was a good dude and they were a good person, and I honestly feel like I kind of already have that reputation more often than not. Like, the guys that I gravitate towards are real, and they're real with me, and I'm real with them. And usually, if you're up to something, you keep your distance, because you know it's like I can just, I feel like I can look through them, and
There's
I feel
no
like
lying in you. You can read them.
yeah, and I feel like they know that I can look through them, and they don't want that.
That's what makes your show dangerous.
Yeah.
That's really what makes it, and that's why we all watch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Palmer, what about you? How do you want the cigar world to remember you?
Trust is a big thing with me, so I would like everybody to think that I was honest and trustworthy. I try not to make any promises I can't keep, and I try not to say anything, when I'm selling something that's that's not true. I don't make any false expectations. I don't, I'm not there to, to lie to them. It's not like buy this and I'll be back every 6 weeks and then they never see me again.
Okay, so your word is your bond for you.
Right. There you go.
You're the Tony Montana. I've got two things in life I don't break for anyone: my balls and my word.
You pick his balls all the time, bro. If he won't break them, I'll break them for him. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what
it's tough hanging out in our circle. I mean, we're hard on each other. We're hard on people that come into our circle. It's not a, but only we're allowed to do it.
Yeah.
Is the thing. We're gonna beat the shit out of you, but nobody else can.
Yeah, but what did this guy just say? Like, no, dude.
Yeah.
No,
you're not in this circle. You can't say that.
I'm sorry, you can't talk about that.
See, and that's honestly, this has been one of my favorite 3-person shows I've done this year, probably in the last 4 years. The banter back and forth between you guys is somebody, and I'll just say this to end the show, as somebody that watches your show, as somebody that's appreciated your show for a long time now, the banter back and forth between you two, it can't be scripted. I mean, like there's no way to make that feel unauthentic. And I think as somebody that's a viewer of your show giving you feedback, that's one of the things I look so forward to Mike just jumping on Palmer or Palmer jumping on. Those are the spots in the show that I love, when you guys go back and forth with each other or make a quip, or Palmer will come in with a little, dig at somebody, and then Mike just is like, okay, well, you did that, I'm just gonna blow it up. Here we go. And like that to me is what I try to achieve on this show, is authenticity, is without that whole, that's why I don't script, that's why I don't do research, that's why I don't script questions, because I feel that you guys don't either. At least that's the feel of the show. It's legitimate, just banter back and forth. And as somebody, like I said, that watches your stuff, we appreciate that. That's what drew me to Cigar Hustlers, was your two's interaction with each other. That and Mike just blowing up Cigar World with certain quips that he does and stuff like that. Either Mike. I mean, it doesn't matter. That name could be synonymous with both of you.
True.
It used to be worse. We used to not talk before the shows, like nothing.
Yeah.
Like on show day, we're not speaking to each other until it's time to sit down and hit the record button.
But see, that's the fun of it, though, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
like, if you guys scripted that out, first off, it would be a dog turd because you couldn't script what you guys do off the cuff. Like and again, the camaraderie that you guys have really does holistically come through the show. And I say holistically because it's deeper than the show, it's deeper than the company, and it comes through in that. And you know, is one of the things I always wanted to tell you guys if I ever had the opportunity to have you on is I love that it's above and beyond real with how your guys' reactions are, the things that you say, and every once in a while, I'm sure either one of you go, "Ooh, should we have said that?" Ooh, but at the same time, I love that you leave it in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. That's a great analogy for sure, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. It is. You guys were a show that I watched. It's coming up with my show and trying to do stuff and you know, there's a few shows out there where like both people are always 100% real, and I definitely, this isn't blowing smoke up your ass. This is being honest. I definitely feel that the Cigar Hustler podcast is one of those shows where everything's left on the table, and I love it. And you don't really care who you offend. You do, but you don't, because you're just being who you guys are. And I appreciate you for it. From the bottom of my heart, we all appreciate you guys for it in the cigar world. You guys add a breath of fresh air to a very stagnant podcast industry inside the cigar world. I think you would agree with that.
Thank you.
So
Thank you very much.
you know, and I really appreciate you both coming on. I love your brand. I'm a big fan of your brand since I found you guys over at Omerta. So you have them to thank for it, and you guys have been a staple in some way or the other in the humidor throughout the years. And appreciate both of you for coming on tonight. And we'll give it to either one, whichever Mike wants to go. Tell everybody why Pastania, and why to choose you in a lounge over somebody else. You know what, Mike? This is going to tie to your bonus. Palmer, this will tie to your bonus. Why choose Postania?
It's a consistently good cigar. We get very little complaints. Once you try it, you will be hooked. You will want it again.
Was that good enough, Mike, for you?
It's never. It's okay. First, I was gonna say first. I'm not insulted by any means, but it's never good enough. It's never enough, and that's one of the things I have to keep.
Consistently good cigar. Fucking raining.
Consistently good cigar.
You should try. I like. It's good. You know,
It's good. You should have this one.
It's like
Is, amongst all the cigars in the world, we are one of them. You should try it.
Everybody, if you have not tried a Postania brand or line, absolutely, what the fuck are you waiting for? Jump over to Cigar Hustler's website, where you will find their entire lineup of cigars, including all the cigars that they distribute for. And we didn't get into those brands, but maybe we'll do that for another show. Who knows? Maybe they had such a good time that they'll be willing to come back. I have no idea. We'll find out after the show.
We would love to come
back. Look at all these ads he's had running across the bottom. This guy must be really wealthy.
Zero interruptions, which is fantastic.
No.
Zero interruptions. I love that.
I just do the scrolling ads. I don't do the commercials unless it's at the
awesome,
beginning.
Dude. Awesome.
I also don't do this to make money. I do this to cover this show's expense, and then I just turn around and buy cigars with whatever sponsor gives me money. We usually buy their cigars.
People don't understand how expensive all of this stuff is.
No, they don't. They really, truly don't. And quite frankly, I didn't either until I got into this, but I do have passion for this. I love this. This is my outlet. And I really, really, truly appreciate both of you guys coming into my world tonight and spending the night with me. We've seen Palmer's wife on the show. We've heard Mike's dog. It's been a family event and a furry friend event. So until we see you all again, smoke what you like, smoke as much Postani as you fucking can, and have a great rest of your week. Bye everyone. Take care.